So today's topic was chapter 6 of Gita, just the overview, right? We've done this before, but just to kind of, as we were going through all the chapters one by one to talk about the overview, we're finally on chapter 6. And chapter 6, as you guys know, is called Dhyan Yoga. And Dhyan Yoga is another name for meditation, another way of saying meditation. So Gita has now progressed from Karam Yoga and it's gone to Dhyan Yoga. And starting next chapter, which is 7th, it will go on to Gyan, more in detail with Gyan. So 7 through 14, I mean, actually from 7 onwards, it's all about knowledge, mainly about knowledge. And then in the end chapters, it again goes back to individual effort and things like that. So the first 6 chapters, as we discussed before, are more around individual effort. So, you can see Karam Yoga is individual effort and Dhyan Yoga is individual effort. It's effort that we are making as a person in order to prepare ourselves to, improve our mental state. And then the 7th through 12th is more about Gyan. So it's not about effort as much as about knowledge. So Gita has always said these two things go hand in hand, effort and knowledge. So, I think you guys know about meditation, but what I wanted to do was to just talk about a couple of things which are sometimes misunderstood about meditation. And Vedanta has a very particular view of meditation. So, and this mirrors how even the Veds are structured. And I think what Vedanta is trying to tell us is that there are two main disciplines for preparing ourselves or, for improvement. The one big discipline is Karam Yoga and the other is Dhyan Yoga. And it lays out a sequence and it says that Karam Yoga comes before Dhyan Yoga. In other words, not everybody can do Dhyan Yoga effectively. Of course, take everything with a pinch of salt. Everything happens. There's no perfection here. The two things happen in parallel. But what it's trying to say is that in order to do Dhyan Yoga properly, you have to have a certain degree of calmness of mind so that you can focus and concentrate. If you don't have that calmness, you will not be able to do Dhyan Yoga. And in order to get that calmness of mind, you need Karam Yoga. So Karam Yoga is sort of the first or the main discipline. That means you got to do whatever you're doing. If for a Sansari who starts on this path, it's saying do whatever you're doing, just do it with a different attitude. And that is going to take care of your big issues of desires, obsessions, fears, all of these things. Those are going to be addressed by Karam Yoga. Once they're addressed to a certain degree, then Dhyan Yoga will help you improve your concentration. And it will expand your mind and improve your concentration. That's the theoretical framework of Dhyan Yoga. And I'll take you through, later, I'll take you through some verses in the Gita which sort of say this very clearly. And Swami Dayanand also in his commentary on Dhyan Yoga chapter says this. He says, one of the most important things about Dhyan Yoga is the meditator himself or herself, and the readiness and the preparation of the meditator himself or herself. So, I was thinking yesterday that, one example that comes to my mind is like yoga that we do, Hath Yoga, the normal yoga, the asanas. So if you notice, that can be very therapeutic. You want to do them, you enjoy doing them, but only if you have a certain degree of flexibility. For a person who doesn't have any flexibility, that yoga is not very pleasurable. And that's why I think, women do a lot more with yoga. They are more interested in it than men because women's bodies are, I think, intrinsically more flexible. I'm being a little, maybe I'm not being PC, but whatever. Okay. That was just an example that came into my head. But once you have that, then yoga becomes very enjoyable. You want to do it. You want to do more and more. It's the same with meditation. Meditation is, if you don't enjoy it, there's no point doing it. but it's something, if you have calmness of mind, you will start enjoying, and you will enjoy it more, and it will give you more peace. But that was point number one, which is, if you find you're trying to do meditation and you're just forcing yourself and it's not working, I would say just give up. Focus on Karma Yoga. Mota mota. That's what I would say. But it's not, there's no black and white. But that is the advice of Vedanta. So that was the first point I wanted to make with you guys. And the second thing is, in Gita itself, they talk about asanas and things in chapter 6, how to sit, how to be comfortable. And the main thing that is emphasized in this chapter, without going into the technical details, is don't be uncomfortable and don't be too comfortable when you're sitting. If you're too comfortable, you'll sleep. If you're too uncomfortable, you can't meditate. And he goes into this in detail. Then he says, Krishna Bhagavan says, don't eat too little and don't eat too much. Don't have too much austerity and don't have too much luxury. So it's like what Buddha used to say, the middle path. There's no point. Don't kill yourself through meditation. Meditation is supposed to be enjoyable. It's not supposed to be a punishment. Of course, if you eat too much, for example, then you'll go to sleep when you're trying to meditate. So that is why he's saying, don't eat too much. But it's essentially what he's trying to say is, enjoy the process of meditation and do it when you're ready and do it if you want to. So that was the second point. And the third point, a little bit more philosophical, which I think I talked about last time too, is all of these things, whether it's meditation or Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga or any of these things. Bhakti Yoga in Gita, by the way, is all through. It's not like one place where they talk about Bhakti as such. Bhakti is underlying everything. But whatever things you do, any other effort at self-improvement, one thing that Vedanta emphasizes or says again and again is that these things are all relative. You can never be perfect. However much you meditate, however much, say, concentration you develop, there will always be a little bit better that you can do. And however much Karma Yoga you do, there will be something better that you can do. However much any activity of improvement you do, there will always, as Brother John used to say, the biggest room for improvement. Biggest room is the room for improvement, right? So when it comes to individual effort, there is no end to it. And there is no final destination to it. You can just keep going on and on. But if you're looking for moksha, if you're looking for the purushartha of moksha, then individual effort is not the answer. Individual effort can help, but it's not going to take you to moksha. So, and this again, Upanishad is full of this. I'm not making it up. Okay. It may. So, one second. I am recording, am I? Yeah.
Yeah.
For a minute, I thought Sanjay is going to get mad at me if I don't know. So individual effort is not the answer. There are 4 purusharthas that Vedanta talks about. It's dharma, kama, artha, and moksha. So these are the 4 aims that humans have. And although they put 4 of them together, moksha is not an aim like dharma, kama, and artha. It is completely different in character. Because dharma, kama, and artha you attain through effort. And there is no end to it. You can have, how much security can you have? How much money can you have? There's no end. Even if you say, I want to do pun, like how much can you do? There's no end to it, which is dharma, right? So those are kind of things that we are used to. We are used to having goals and then making an effort towards the goal and then measuring ourselves and seeing how much have we reached, where have we reached and all that. they are in line with samsaric. They're all samsaric goals. Anything to do with samsara has to do with this sort of progressive journey. But moksha is completely different. Moksha is defined as a praptasya prapti. Prapti, you know what prapti means, right? Prapti means the obtaining of something. Praptasya means of something that is prapt. That's what praptasya means. So it is obtaining of something which is already obtained. So it is a goal which you don't have to obtain through effort. You already have it. You're already free. This is a goal which you just have to know through knowledge. And there is no, and I mean, at what point would you know? It's not as if you have to make effort, and then have a certain degree. When you reach a certain level of concentration of the mind, or you reach a certain level of karam yogi efficiency, that now you can switch and say, okay, now I can know. There's nothing like that. Because you can, if you're waiting to become perfect in terms of antakarna shuddhi or something else before having moksha or having that goal, then you will wait forever, because there's no perfection. But on the other hand, you can't even say, I know that I am Brahman. It's not simply, you can't just say I know, because you have to deal with your mind, which is telling you things which are different from that, which is saying, no, you're not. How can you be Brahman? So you need knowledge. In order for that knowledge to come to you, you need a mind which is at least capable of listening and understanding. So what Vedanta has found, and what our rishis have found through practical experience, is that these kinds of things, which is karam yoga and dhyan yoga and all, they help. They are supportive disciplines. They help getting our mind in a way oriented so that we can understand. But they will become obstructions if you focus only on them and think that that is the path to understanding. Then they are obstructions, because then they have diverted your attention from what really you have to do, which is to understand. So what I would say on this is, there is nothing, it's up to you. Whenever even today, I'm sure if I was to put you on a spot and say, are you Brahman? Most of you will probably say yes, because you heard it and it's kind of connected somewhere. So what Vedanta is saying is, know that, and at the same time do whatever you have to do to have a happier life. And what do you need to do to have a happier life? You need karam yoga, you need dhyan yoga, you need bhakti yoga, if you do your work according to the principles of karam yoga, you'll have a happier life. If you take care of yourself health-wise and otherwise, you'll have a happier life. So do all those things, but don't do them because you think that is going to take you to mukti. Mukti is already there, and if you don't know the mukti, you know that through knowledge. So there are two parallel activities. They can go on simultaneously, but it's not that there's a linear equation or anything like that. So what is the difference if you have, let's say, if we have this knowledge? The difference is that all of these things which we were doing in the past, thinking they were existential, thinking that they are like the most important thing in life, my improvement of myself and all of these things, they are then seen as mithya. That they are good, they are important, but they are not existential. Because at the end of the day, you know that you are Brahman. So it becomes, it creates, all these things give a little less grief and they give a little more enjoyment. That's what happens. But okay, now this is going very deep into the philosophy, but those were the 3 points of of Dhyan Yoga that I wanted to just make sure we are all on the same page. Right? So just keep this in perspective as you think about meditation. And still, I mean, if you want to, please do meditation, because it will be great. I know myself that, you know, when you enjoy it, it's actually very nice and very useful because it helps kind of, you know, you can start thinking, for example, you can start thinking about your thoughts, and you'll see your thoughts clearly, and then you'll see how you're not your thoughts. That's a very important insight. And meditation can make that very clear.
You can ask a question here.
Yes, I'm done anyway. So this is going to be questions from here on.
No, actually, this is more a question of the group. How many of you meditate, and how often?
Well, I have been meditating for quite some time now. My time has, like the clock has automatically got set for 20 minutes. अपने आप ही 20 minutes के बाद वो हो जाता है.
Wow.
And I would say I'm just trying to calm my mind, but there are a hell number of thoughts passing. So I just keep trying, and that's what I'm doing. I do it in the morning, 20 minutes only. इससे ज़्यादा होता ही नहीं है, वो अपने आप
But every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes I miss once in a while, but generally every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't meditate much. I used to at one time, but now for me, meditation, I do at any time for any length. I don't know, but whenever I feel like it, I do a little bit of meditation, but it is not a discipline at all. I don't know what Kiki.
Yeah, so for me, I've had
Witness protection
spells.
program today.
What's that?
You are in a witness protection program.
What?
Why?
वो जो CNN में होता है ना, when they're interviewing somebody who doesn't want to reveal their identity, so they
You
have
know what? I think it's the light here. Yeah. No. So I was going to say that for me, I've had spells in the last several years. I have spells when I do go through, you know, when I say, okay, yes, I want to meditate regularly. But also otherwise, I think it's just, you know, being witness to your thoughts can happen at any time. So I'm not currently meditating, but that orientation of being witness to my thoughts, you know, even if it's anger or distress or something, that orientation is there. It doesn't always come, but it's there.
Actually, it's in my bucket list to go for that Vipassana thing, to meditate for whole 10 hours. I want to experience that. I have been trying to enroll, but every time I'm waitlisted, and then let's see when that thing comes.
I think it's easier to get enrolled in America. So when you come here next.
Now I've come to know, I've put it in my calendar reminder list. If I am final, then probably in the month of December. If I enroll on the very first day when that opens, so I put those dates in my calendar.
Wow, I didn't know it was so difficult.
Yeah, it gets full within 2 days. When it opens, it gets full. I mean, the one that's near Delhi, and I don't want to go to faraway places.
Wow.
And that one is, I've heard, good one. So let's see whether I'm able to do it or not.
So where is it near Delhi?
Sona.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's called the Delhi, near Sona.
Right.
It's called the Delhi wala that is called the Delhi for Delhi.
Atul, if you're interested, there's Nittu, I don't know if it's okay to talk about this in the scope of in the context of our class, but you know, there's a meditation app that I used to use, which is not Vedanta. It's not Vedanta. It's not religious at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's called the Waking Up app, and that it's somewhere in the domain of Buddhism and Vedanta. So it's really sort of a analysis of your mind, not of your mind, but of what you consider yourself. And it's just about being, really witnessing any thought, including the thought, oh, I'm not meditating well, or I'm not, any thought. And the idea, like Nitu was saying, is to have me and my thoughts, and have a gap between me and my thoughts.
But in the state of meditation, when do you know that you are meditating in that 20 minutes or whatever that period might be? When do you know that, okay, then I'm there?
There's no there.
So,
It takes a lot of
how
time.
does one know that
you
one
should
is not meditating?
See, when you sit down for meditations, you'll start probably focusing on your breath or something, and then after a few minutes or seconds, some thoughts will start coming. Then when the thoughts come, then after some time you'll realize, oh my God, thoughts are coming. Then you go back to the breath focus, or that's what I have understood. And it seems it is said that it's okay to have the thoughts, just see those thoughts and let them pass.
So Atul,
That's
I
what
think the
I have
answer,
understood.
sorry.
It's okay.
So I was going to
I'm
say
done.
the answer to your question, I think, is not, it is just, you can tell a difference between when you get carried away by your thought and when you're aware of your thought. That distinction is clear, right? So if you're just thinking about something and that's all there is, you're just either worrying about something or thinking about something. But then to have an awareness of that thought, there's a clear difference between those two. So for the meditation that I used to do, it wasn't that there should not be thoughts. It's fine to have thoughts, whatever thoughts. But to have awareness of the thoughts, because the idea is to have that separation, is to have, once you are witness and have awareness of the thoughts, then to have that distance between me and thoughts.
Okay.
Nitu, what do you have to say about all this?
No, nothing. I mean, I'm absolutely, I agree with everything you guys are saying.
And I think that for me, for that meditation, the focus was very much not the focus, but the idea was to then once you are just witness, to then figure out, in retrospect maybe, but to say, okay, so where is me? Where is this idea of me as a person, a person who's in my head, where is there a person, you think of I as, oh, there's an I in my head who's aware of these thoughts. Is there really that I in my head who's aware of these thoughts? The I is certainly not in my body. Is there an I in my head? Or is it only experience of thoughts? That's all there is. There isn't like this person in my head who's watching the thoughts. All there is thoughts and awareness of thoughts.
Okay.
Well, I think maybe I'll add that it's very important to have an objective. Why are you doing the meditation? To know that very clearly. Is it to have better control over your anger, or like what are you trying to get out of it?
Actually, that's another good sub question that can be asked as to what do you get out of it? And my guess is that, people that I know who sort of meditate successfully, they say that they get more relaxed. I'm paraphrasing. That there is that sense of calmness, post-meditation calmness, post-meditation relaxation, or
yeah. You see clarity. That all the time, right? all these. There's even an app for that. It's called Calm.
Yeah.
With water flowing, sounds of water flowing in the back. So that is another objective of meditation.
Mm.
But the question is, what is your objective?
Yeah. Mm.
And then also in Vedanta, they define, they call it upasana. And upasana actually means superimposition of two things. So the way that they define it in the Vedas and in the Upanishads is, they say that you take an object, say a stone, like a shaligram stone, or any idol, an idol of Bhagwan Krishna. And then you say, I have a thought of Bhagwan Krishna, but I don't know what Bhagwan Krishna thought is. So I superimpose that thought on this idol. So much so that that idol then becomes a representative of Bhagwan Krishna, which is what we do, right? When we do puja and everything. And being able to then focus on that idol as if you're focusing on Bhagwan Krishna and stay there, that is meditation. So meditation is etasmin buddhi, or something they call it like that, which means the state of mind where you're superimposing artificially one thing over another, and then concentrating on that and holding that thought, dharana, holding that thought for a piece of for some amount of time. That is meditation. That is upasana. And there are two types. One is if you're holding a thought like this of another entity, like Bhagwan, over another object. That's one. And the other one is when you're holding the thought that I am Brahman. And that's not even, it's like, it's not even a thought that I am Brahman. But, in the case of meditation, it has to be, you have to meditate on something. So it would be that single one thought, it's like you could say Shivoham or something like that. And that meditation is called Nididhyasana. In other words, when the one of the objects of superimposition becomes Brahman, that means you yourself. This is just technical stuff. But you could meditate completely outside of yourself, meaning you've got an idea called God, or you got some thought which is God or something else, not you. You got another object which is a stone or an idol, not you. You're trying to superimpose those two things on each other. That's one. That's kind of how you start. And then eventually you get to one of them being me, meaning there is a thought. And then the second thing doesn't exist. You're just saying that thought is I am Brahman. Just that thought. Then you don't, then that's called Nididhyasana, technically speaking. I've confused you more than anything.
Nittu is then what I described is neither upasana nor nididhyasana.
No, you're looking at a thought and trying to identify that thought. So yeah, you're not superimposing as such, but there must be something going on. I mean, I don't know what the details in the mind are, but if you really think about it, there would be some such activity going on in the mind, because it's an artificial meditation is an artificial construct. It's an effort of the mind. It's not a natural thing that you're meditating. So when you're saying, okay, I have a thought and I'm trying to identify that thought, you're trying to identify that thought with something.
Not identify, right? I don't know why you're using that word, identify. To be aware of is
observe,
different from
to be
identify.
aware of, yeah. So who's aware of that thought?
Right.
Right? You can't just say thought and I'm aware. You are aware. There's a you, there's something which is aware. So if you're trying to say that you doesn't exist, and the thought is just awareness by itself, then that is a superimposition, because that is not actually true. There's nothing called thought is aware by itself, right? So there's a superimposition involved in every meditation.
Why is there nothing called that the thought is aware by itself? The thought is aware by itself.
Aware to whom?
Just aware.
But you can't say just like a thought is not aware to itself.
Awareness is aware to itself, right? And awareness is aware of whatever else there is.
What is awareness? How do you define awareness?
Consciousness.
Or even consciousness is not something which is a thing which is aware of itself.
No, it's not a thing. That's the point.
What I'm trying to say is that the moment you say that there is a thought, and the thought is passing through my mind, there is a mind which is observing that thought.
Yeah.
Without that observation or that awareness will not happen. It's not the Brahman which is observing the thought. Brahman cannot observe. For observation to take place, there has to be, for any such knowledge to take place, that there is a thought which I am aware of, there has to be two different entities. There is the known and the knower. So even when you are concentrating on the thought, let's say a thought is passing through your mind, the thought becomes the known.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So that
you're saying inherently there's always duality during meditation.
Yes, absolutely. So meditation or Karam Yoga or any effort that you make, there is always duality. The moment you make an effort, there is duality. Because the effort is being made by you. So what you're trying to do through meditation is you're trying to improve some ability in your mind. Whether it's an ability to detach itself from thoughts, or whether it's an ability to concentrate more and longer, that is meditation. Or an ability for the mind not to have these uncontrolled thoughts, the uncontrolled thoughts of desire, uncontrolled thoughts of obsessions. Those uncontrolled thoughts, they cannot be controlled through meditation. For that, you have to do Karam Yoga.
But you are saying that by definition, non-dual meditation is not possible.
Yes, there is nothing called non-dual meditation. There's nothing called non-dual anything. Anything that we do is always duality. So what is called non-dual meditation is often called nirvikalpa samadhi. That also cannot be non-dual. There is a subtle element of duality in nirvikalpa samadhi too. Because non-duality is not something that you can achieve or attain. Non-duality is there right now. It's a fact of life. That is the whole idea. That is the thing about Vedanta, that nasti akrita kritena. That means that which we are looking for, which is not created by action, cannot be achieved through action. And all of these things are actions.
Well, then how do you achieve it through knowledge? If you're saying that achievement through knowledge is possible, that achievement also, how is it possible, even through knowledge?
The knowledge only tells you that there is nothing. It is praptasya prapti. The knowledge only tells you that there is no achievement of it. The knowledge only tells you that you already are. All knowledge is doing is removing ignorance. It's not doing.
Then if
it's not
knowledge
creating
can
new
tell
knowledge.
you that, then meditation can also tell you that, right? Knowledge also doesn't end up in non-duality.
No, nothing
Knowledge,
ends up. There's nothing which ends up in non-duality. There's nothing which can end up in moksha.
not end up in non-duality, end up in realization of the mind that there is non-duality.
But that is all there is. That's all we are doing.
Yeah.
We are telling the mind that it needs to know that it's not dual, that its foundation is non-dual. The mind is not non-dual. I mean, it's a vritti. And the only way to say it is through knowledge. It's like, I mean, the example that they gave is, if let's say you are wearing glasses and you sometimes we do this, right? We put our glasses on top of our head, and someone put us the glasses on top of his head and then started doing their work. And then after a few hours, and they realize, oh, I don't have my glasses, and they're looking for their glasses. They don't know where to find their glasses. So they can run around everywhere and they will not find their glasses. But a simple knowledge that the glasses are already with you is all that is needed. It's not that knowledge gave you the glasses. That knowledge removed ignorance. So that's what this knowledge does. It just removes ignorance. It doesn't give you moksha. It doesn't give you anything which you don't already have. That is the idea. But it doesn't mean that all these things are useless. That is the other thing, It's just we just need to know why we are doing them. What's the objective? So that we are not disappointed because we want something and we are going in a direction which doesn't give us what we want. Mukta, are you following?
Yeah.
Pakka?
Just
want to make sure
I'm looking lost or something.
No. I think I am lost. In the sense, I wasn't sure whether I'm communicating properly. That was my. Sometimes I listen to my recordings, back, and then I realized, I'm just talking too much. Maybe I should find out, like, is anybody even understanding, or am I just talking? I get lost in my own, expressing myself.
In fact, the last session, that time I was not understanding much. Somehow I was lost somewhere, or in fact, I was not at my home. I was at my daughter's home, and the new circumstances and everything and whatever. I listened to it again today morning, so that it was as if I'm listening it for the first time.
चलो फायदा हो गया recording का.
हाँ नहीं
But did you understand it then?
Yeah, then it was okay. Everything was clear. But उस time मुझे थोड़ा सा I was feeling lost.
I don't even remember what it was about.
वो बहुत ज्यादा साइंटिफिक उसमें तुम चले गए थे, प्रोटॉन्स आयॉन्स और ये सब सारा शुरू हो गया था.
I know.
I got lost in all that.
Yeah. That was too much.
आज समझ आ गया था.
अच्छा, okay.
नहीं ठीक था वो, it was okay. कई बार अपना स्टेट ऑफ माइंड भी थोड़ा ऐसा होता है कि sometimes you get lost in thoughts even while listening also.
Yeah.
And then you skip off certain portions.
Of course. I also used to get lost. Now, of course, I have no choice. Now I'm talking, so I have to, pay attention. No option. I cannot afford to get lost right now. But yeah.
I do get lost while listening also. And then generally if I'm listening to some recording, then I realize, oh, I got lost. Then I go back to the place. Sometimes I've listened to certain things 3-4 times also to understand.
So, on this meditation thing, then, if we know that meditation is also an actual exercise in duality, just like Karma Yoga is an exercise in duality, then what could be the goal of meditation? For when you are doing Mukta, for example, what is your goal in meditation? And then maybe we can ask Atul and Kiki also.
While listening to all these videos and everything, I realized कि जो concentration, focus और जिसको तुम अंतःकरण शुद्धि बोलते हो, वही है goal basically. So that I can understand Vedanta better and
So,
I
according to
mean,
Vedanta, the Antakarna Shuddhi comes from Karma Yoga. Antakarna Naishchalya comes from meditation.
and what is Naishchalya?
Naishchalya means जो ज़्यादा चलता नहीं है, मतलब it is restlessness खत्म हो जाती है. One single pointed steadiness. Ability to
वो restless
have,
में.
that is meditation. But the point to remember, and that is very important, is that Antakarna Shuddhi comes from Karma Yoga. So we should not expect Antakarna Shuddhi through meditation. No amount of meditation can bring Antakarna Shuddhi.
कर्म योगा कौन सा आसान है?
I'm not saying कि आसान है. I'm just saying अंतःकरण शुद्धि का मतलब है taking, dealing with your desires, dealing with obsessions, dealing with things that your mind tells you are not sensible. But I mean, your head tells you are not sensible, but your mind can't help itself. वो कौन कहता था? दुर्योधन का उसने बताया था ना कि like at the end of the war, before he was dying, Krishna Bhagwan asked Duryodhan, like, why did you commit all this? So Duryodhan said, I knew better, but I could not help myself.
I could control it.
I couldn't control it. So that cannot come from meditation. Because yes, meditation will make you aware. But to deal with your desires, you have to, you have to do action. So, and I think that's a very important point, which is the first point that I was trying to make in this, which is it comes in sequence. That you cannot, there's no bypassing Karma Yoga if you have to deal with your desires. But that's just you don't have to do anything, but I'm just saying if you want to do that. So if you're looking at meditation as a way to control your desires, it may be hard. If you're looking at meditation as a way to, concentrate your mind, or as a way to get a sense for, as a support of knowledge, okay, I learned something. I learned that I'm not my mind. Maybe meditation can help you see that a little bit, not very much, because again, you're all duality only. But things like that meditation can do. The meditation can help you observe your own behavior, which can be a very good thing, which can even help you in Karma Yoga. But Antakarna Shuddhi is, according to Vedanta, is mainly from Karma Yoga. Okay. Anyway, sorry to interrupt, but I thought it's
No, it's okay.
point too.
It's okay.
Okay. They say that जो ब्रह्मचार्य जो होता है ना, पहला वाला फर्स्ट स्टेज, उसमें तो सिर्फ बच्चे पढ़ते हैं. Then you go to the grihast stage, and that is where you first start with sakama karma, the karmas which are for worldly pleasures. Then you graduate to nishkam karma, which is Karma Yoga. And then you go to the next stage, which is vanaprastha, which is where you do a lot of the upasanas, the dhyan yoga. And then you go to sannyas, where you do gyan yoga. That's the simplistic progression of Vedanta. Just to keep in mind, it's an aid to memory, nothing else. Okay, this is the sequence which has been given. But anyway, Atul, what do you meditate, Atul?
Not in the conventional sense. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, I did give it a good old try, but that was 15, 20 years ago.
What was your objective in meditation?
Huh?
What was your objective for meditation?
The usual, but now I mean I do something else, which I think I mentioned to you earlier, that which to me delivers the outcome that most people get out of meditation. But if I describe what I do, nobody will ever mistake it for meditation. So
What's the
I
outcome,
think that
by the way?
I've reached what I want to do, you know.
Please describe, Atul.
So for me, so okay, let's start backwards. You know, so what is the desired state? So the state I get to when I do this X, I'll describe the X, is that I feel better about being, or you know, just where I am. So my present situation, and all that, I feel more relaxed. You know, I feel okay, everything is all right. You know, and you feel there's a little slight smile on your face, and you know, you feel calm, and you know, there's no agitation going on in your mind. Everything is okay. You haven't changed anything, or nothing has changed, but you are there. So I achieved that when I go for a walk around Lake Tahoe, listening to my music. And while I'm doing that, I'm thinking of work, I'm thinking of other things, I'm thinking of my plans. So in other words, my mind is still doing what it normally would do, but I'm looking at the lake, I'm, you know, enjoying the breeze, I'm taking some pictures. So in other words, nobody will ever know that I'm not doing what others are doing. You know? But the end result is that after an hour and a half, I would have reached a point where I'm at a different state than when I first started the walk. So that to me is that what I call pseudo meditation, perhaps.
That's a nice way to meditate. I mean, it can be called meditation.
Yeah, but again, you know, if you then whether you
Deliberate
light
activity.
on, do you need music on? Do you close your eyes? Do you not close your eyes? Well, I'm listening to music. I'm maybe even take a phone call from somebody. You know, so all that is going on. In other words, my life is going on. But as it turns out, that after 90 minutes of doing that, I'm in a different state.
But that could be just because of walking, maybe. Like,
yeah, but it doesn't happen in all walks. You know. I mean, some of that, it's close to this, I do achieve in Moringa also, when I go for my walk around the Inga Park over there. So that has a similar effect, but not quite as powerful as Lake Tahoe.
Which is being in nature. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think there's something about Lake Tahoe that does it, you know. Like Moringa Park also is getting close to it, but it's not quite that, you know. But yeah. So usually, when somebody asks me, "Do I meditate?" my usual answer is no, because I know the way the question is being asked in that sort of a strict definition of meditation, and because if I answer yes, then I have to answer how and what, then it'll be like that. That's a Pandora's box, you know. So.
Isn't it similar? Not exactly same, but what they call mindfulness. Whatever you are doing, you are so absorbed in that. You observe every action of what you are doing. I think that is what they call mindfulness. I mean, you're so concentrated only in that.
Yeah, but that's what Nidhi was saying, right? That
I think Mukta mindfulness is what I think, from what I understand, I think is just being aware of thoughts, not concentrated or anything, but just, yeah.
But the interesting thing is that, I mean, I get that point about how you are sort of stepped out of your thought, so you are aware of the thought. But when I look back as to what, like I said, when I'm walking around the lake, I'm doing everything that my mind is. I'm going wherever my mind is going, whether it's work or not work or anything. So I'm not trying to regulate that at all. But when I look back and sort of say, am I any more or any less aware of the thoughts? I think I'm a little bit more aware of the thoughts. So there is a little bit of that separation that you were talking about, Nidhi, then, but not a whole lot. In other words, it doesn't feel like, oh, now I'm thinking very differently. It doesn't feel that different, but there is a little bit of a separation because I'm aware of, okay, I'm doing this. And I think the part of the reason I know that I'm aware of that is because, at least initially, I used to sort of say, okay, am I meditating or should I be doing something different? Or, and then I realized that no, there's no point in doing anything different because I am achieving what I want to achieve at the end of the day. So in other words, keep doing, just keep going. In fact, even when I drive up to the lake, I don't sort of say, okay, today I'm going to do this or today I'm going to think about this. It's just let it be, let it come.
I think I read about the mindfulness thing. Mindfulness is not just observing your thoughts, even if you're doing something, that action of the entire action, all the steps, small steps you go through, you are very mindful of each and every step that you're so engrossed in it. I think that also is something equivalent to mindfulness.
I think it looks like what we are coming to is there are many different ways to meditate. There's no one way.
No, but interestingly enough, whenever I've asked the question, I've never received too many different answers. I mean, I get different levels of success, but everybody's trying to do the same thing.
No. That's not. I mean, like, what answer do you get?
They either switch on the light or switch off the light, or they shut the door, or they try to get rid of all the thoughts, and they have some scent, incense going, or they don't have incense going, or they have some music going, or not have music going. I mean, it's sort of a little bit of a package that, okay, I can get lavender, and I can get sea mist, and I can get mountain dew, and those kind of different fragrances, and this works for me and this doesn't work for me, as opposed to something that's dramatically different. Because I mean, when I describe it, I mean, like I said, even to me, it doesn't sound like I'm doing meditation.
I mean, when you said you're open to see whatever comes, that is there's a guy called what's his name, Rupert Spira, or Francis Lucille. These are some of the Western sort of Advaita guys.
Yeah.
They describe meditation exactly like that. They said meditation is an openness to everything and anything, without question. So that is another way to think about it. I mean, and actually the way Vedanta describes it is mansik vyapar, meaning a mental transaction. And then it keeps going deeper. I mean, there's a longer definition, but it's all these kind of come into the bucket of meditation. And the question is, what are you doing the meditation for? What's the objective? So if the objective is to get relaxed, then yes, absolutely, all your lavenders and everything, if they help you relax, Lake Tahoe helps you relax, any external thing that helps you relax, you do those things. There's a particular environment that it relaxes you. So you go to that environment. There's a particular activity that relaxes you, which is walking in a particular environment. So you do that, and that's a pretty, in my opinion, legitimate end and a legitimate activity.
Yeah, and that's why. I mean,
some people may want to say, I want to develop intense concentration. Then that may not be the legitimate activity for that objective of meditation. Then they might want to do Ashtanga Yoga, which is those different stages of yoga, dharana and all that. So that's a different kind of meditation, a very different objective, a very different activity. And some people say, I want to understand, I want to do nididhyasana, which is I want to live my knowledge, better live my knowledge. I'm going to total Advaita now. That nididhyasana is also, called meditation or contemplation. It's a different sort. Your objective is different and the activity is different. So I was trying to say that all of these are big bucket meditations. But if you know what your objective is, what you're trying to get out of it, then you can do those things. Like, I mean, I remember my grandmother and my buaji, beji, bhenji, they were always, every night, they used to do puja for an hour. Every morning, 1 hour, every night, 1 hour. I mean, that's intense discipline. Come what may, they did that. A lot of people do that. And that's also, in a way, it's meditation. They are sitting down, and japa is another meditation. There are some, you hear some words and you repeat that word again and again and again and again, till such time that it becomes almost automatic. And then in between those words, when you're saying those words, in between, you get complete peace. There's no thought. That's another technique. But it's all the question of, what are we getting? And but this, so like, Atul, I don't agree. There are many different ways of meditation, and different people say different things. Like Buddhist meditations are different, Zen meditations are different.
Actually, I think when I say I get a very similar answer, I'm actually talking mostly about Western people, and by that I don't mean necessarily non-Indians, but people. I mean, most of my interaction is with people.
I think you're talking about relaxation as being the objective. Stress relief.
No, I mean, let's say that I was just thinking that if I ask my colleagues, chief outsiders colleagues, how many of you meditate? Maybe a third of them will raise their hand. And if I ask the same question that I asked you guys, so what does it look like, and for how long, and how frequency might end up being different, but generally speaking, the description would be very similar, and the differences that I'll get will be of the category of lavender and mountain mist, and
but that's what I'm saying. They're all of them are using meditation as a tool for relaxation or stress relief. That's what Western media, or most of us, when we take meditation, that's what it does. It's a very stressful life. It's good to relax, and advice will be given, because work is full of stress. So come home and do meditation for 15 minutes, and that's one way to, relax. But sure, I mean, if that's the objective, yes.
Yeah, but I think that seems to be the most common objective. I mean, it's what we would hear.
You're talking about
Dr.
people
Oz showed
who
up
have
at the morning show.
That may not be the objective of people who are trying to understand Vedanta.
Yeah, and I don't run into those people.
In the context of Vedanta, right? We're talking in the context of Dhyan Yoga, Mumukshu.
No, and that's why, I mean, I don't have any issues in calling what I do, what I describe to you guys, as meditation. So I don't have any, to me, that's not a stretch, because in my view, that is meditation that works for me. But what I'm saying is that I haven't run into too many others like similarly, different viewpoints. But that's because I'm probably talking to the Good Morning America audience.
Yeah, you're talking to a particular kind of people, a particular the vast majority.
In general parlance, people say things like, oh, cooking is very meditative for me, gardening is very meditative for me. That's a very different bucket, right? That's sort of the bucket where you're
walking around Lake Tahoe is very meditative.
So the cooking is very meditative for me. That is actually, I can relate to that, because
I know. That's okay.
I'm in that category.
I'm only saying that that is not all meditation is. That there is a whole other side to meditation, which is also pretty prevalent in different circles. Like in India, if you go, like if I was to ask my mom upasana, she would think about it as puja, worship. Sitting in front of a diya, in front of a picture of God, and worship. That is also meditation. So in India, a lot of people would think about meditation that way. Reciting Hanuman Chalisa or something like that every evening, that is also meditation. So it depends on the culture, and more than culture, it depends on the objective. That's what I was trying to say. But so it's and it's useful regardless, whatever. It's a good idea to be clear about the objective, so you know why you're doing it, and you're not making expectations from it which are unrealistic or which don't stand to reason.
Did you want to talk about what chapter 6 does say about
chapter 6
meditation?
Share. So, there is a piece of it which talks about so this is what I was trying to say, the 610, right? And I'm going to read the translation. It says, may the meditator, whose body and mind are relaxed, who is free from longing and possessions, remain alone in a quiet place, constantly unite his or her mind with the object of meditation. So the point is, may the meditator whose body and mind are relaxed, who's free from longings and possessions. So this is a prerequisite. This is not the objective of meditation. That's what I was trying to get to. So this says it in other places also. He says, before you're there, you have to be of a relatively calm mind. Because according to him, his meditation, which is the Gita meditation, the purpose is to unite your mind with God. Unite your mind with mine. So the superimposition that is taking place here, the upasana, is between the person and God. So this is a particular kind of meditation. So then he says, having arranged one's seat made of a piece of soft cloth, a skin, grass mat, layered in reverse order, in a clean place, firm, not too high and not too low. So he's just trying to describe, they were saying that you should have a skin, because a skin, an animal skin, is waterproof. So at that time, you don't want to catch a chill when you're meditating. So you need to have general level of comfort. So piece of soft cloth, a skin, and grass mat, that gives you some cushioning. So again, the point here is you don't have to meditate on a rock in a cave. Then sitting on this seat, making one's mind one-pointed, may the person who has mastered the mind. So may the person who has mastered the mind. So already there's a degree of mastery in this person. And senses practice meditation for the purification of the mind. So it says purification of the mind, but don't confuse this with the Antakarna Shuddhi. It's saying that sitting like this, may the person, meditate. Single-pointed absorption in me.
So what is this objective of purification of the mind that the Gita is talking about here in this, like in 612?
So I mean, I don't know exactly. I have to read up. I don't remember. They have written it down. So I don't remember. I'll tell you next time.
Do these notes on the right side, the bullet points on the right side, are yours or they're from Swamiji's?
Swamiji's book.
Okay.
But they're mine. My transliteration from Swamiji's book.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely Swamiji's sentence. A sannyasi's mind is the most mature because it is not concerned with the morrow. I mean, I will never even write like this.
Yeah. So the entire chapter 6 is, and you've highlighted certain
points which I thought
because...
I'll talk to you guys about, because this is trying to say the mechanics of, this was my second point I was trying to make, that you don't have to go through austerities for meditation. It's kind of in the middle. And then again, he says, being the one whose mind is tranquil, Prashant Atma, who's free from fear, establish in one's commitment to the life of a brahmachari, may that meditator sit thinking of me, having me as the ultimate goal, while withdrawing the mind from everything else. Okay, so this is how meditation is described in the Gita.
Right.
So it's a person who already has a degree of antakarna shuddhi, that means purity, and who, comfortably sits and thinks about the relationship between him and God. This is like nididhyasana, you could say. So this is not the meditation that you were talking about, which is,
Yes.
be aware of your thoughts, or what Atul was talking about. But all of these are meditations,
But is what chapter 6 is talking about, both upasana and nididhyasana?
No, nididhyasana, upasana is just means superimposition. So upasana is, you could say, another name for dhyan, another name for meditation. And nididhyasana is a subset of those upasanas. An upasana where you are a principal actor. You're yourself. You're talking about yourself. So he's saying yourself is God. Think about you as Krishna. That is nididhyasana. When you're doing an upasana where the two things are both external to you, you're saying there's a God and there's a stone, and the stone is God, then that is not nididhyasana. That is, that's just a regular meditation, a regular upasana. But in an upasana where that instead of saying the stone is God, you're saying I am God, that is nididhyasana. And nididhyasana also comes in various forms. This is not the only way to do nididhyasana. There are different ways. Nididhyasana could just mean a reflection of your day. What have you done during the course of your day? And just trying to go through it and seeing how would I behave, or should I have behaved with the knowledge that I have, and how did I actually behave? And next time I would behave in a different way because of the knowledge I have. Because you're trying to get rid of tendencies. You have the knowledge, but you still have habits. You're trying to get rid of those habits. So that is also nididhyasana.
So
all of
sorry.
No, it's okay.
I was going to say, having me as the ultimate goal, that's the translation, right? When Krishnji is talking, I know that Carol had, I mean, I didn't know that Gita has a Vedantic, because I always used to read that very much as just bhakti, that God is separate. I am focusing on Krishnji, and I am saying, let me put, but Krishna and me are separate. And that is not, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. That is not what you're saying. That is not how you are reading this.
No, I'm reading it as, so again, it depends. So Gita is a scripture. And many philosophies have been emanated from scriptures. Particularly Gita, though, it's a even more broad scripture, because in Gita is, if you look at the end of any Gita chapter, it says, this is a Shastra, which is a Vedant Shastra and a Yoga Shastra. So Gita is a very wide ranging, so many philosophies come out of it. Even from Upanishads, many philosophies come out of it. So different acharyas have interpreted them in different ways. So the way in which Badarayana, which is who was the guy who Badarayana has his other name, Vedvyas. The way in which Vedvyas interpreted the scriptures is called Vedanta. The way in which and that is the only one which actually took the scriptures and interpreted the scriptures only. But then there are other philosophers who also made their own philosophies and said they are consistent with all of these things. So you can read this in multiple ways, depending upon what your orientation is, depending on what philosophy you're thinking about. And that is why all this mananam and thinking through and convincing yourself is so important. Because just plain reading of the Shruti is not going to help you. Because the Shruti says multiple things at multiple times. Somewhere they will say very clearly that you are Brahman, Tattvamasi. Somewhere they will say, think of me and dedicate your life to me. As in Gita in particular. Now, which of those two are what you should follow? So if you go to Vedanta, Vedanta will say Tattvamasi is the real thing, is the actual praman, is what this Shruti is saying. And dedicate your life to me or worship me is a supporting activity. You know, people who follow bhakti will say, dedicate your life to me is the real thing. Tattvamasi is just a motivational statement to help you be confident and comfortable, you know, not for you to not think that you are small. So both of them are there. The question is, what is it that you believe in? What makes sense to you? And that is why if you're going to follow the Shruti and all of these things, then the Mananam is extremely important, because it's during Mananam that you are going to decide what makes sense. Right? There is no getting away from that thinking through, otherwise there will be no conviction. You'll just, you know, tomorrow somebody else will say something else and you'll go in that direction.
Right, right. But like in the context of Vedanta, when Swamiji talks about having me as the ultimate goal, or when you read it, Nattu, in the context of Vedanta, how do you interpret it?
So to me, all of these things, these are supporting things, right? And these are all, you know, when Gita is being, when Krishna Bhagavan is talking to Arjun, and he's talking to all of us, he's saying multiple things which are there for different people to, which make sense to different kind of people in different stages. So, you know, just keeping on saying you're Brahman, you're no different from Brahman, to a person who has never heard this before, it doesn't do anything to that person. It doesn't mean anything. Like the guy will say, what do you mean? You know, I'm suffering in this life. I've got pains and pleasures. I've got everything. Are you saying this is all bunkam? I think you're bunkam. I have no evidence to what you're saying. So Gita is saying that, but then it's also taking multiple steps back and addressing a person who has very real issues right now, and trying to say, okay, let me talk to you about those issues, and then trying to put them in a frame and trying to transition that person over to this knowledge. Okay. So you have to have that frame. That's why Vedanta as a philosophy and understanding Vedanta is very important, because it gives you a frame. Then you can take these things and figure out where to put them. Right. Otherwise, good luck trying to do it all on your own. You know, you're just going to, it's too much. If you read the Gita, it is extremely confusing if you're a thinking person. Otherwise, you'll just take little portions of it and just whatever appeals to you and think about it, and or whatever, follow it or whatever. Right. It is. And then this one was this I wanted to say, because here Arjun asks the question, you know, Mukta, you were saying earlier, this yoga that you've talked about, I do not see it as it's steady vision due to agitation. And it's basically saying the mind is agitated always. It's a strong, well-rooted tyrant. I think of it as impossible to control as the wind. This is Arjun is saying, you know. And Bhagwan is saying, no doubt, the mind is agitated and difficult to master, but it is mastered by practice and objectivity. So nothing new, but again, this practice and objectivity is very much Karam Yoga. Vairagya is very much Karam Yoga. And practice could be anything. It could be the practice of, you know, meditation, or the practice of Karam Yoga.
Yoga is objectivity in Sanskrit? What is the word for objectivity in Sanskrit?
Vairagya. And abhyas for practice.
Yeah.
And then yoga is difficult to gain for the one on whom the mind is not mastered. This is my vision. Whereas it can be gained by one whose mind is mastered, who makes an effort with the proper means. So it's the same sort of stuff again and again in different ways. Okay. I mean, if you're interested, and then I have summaries of each of these chapters, which is just my summarization of what I found in the book.
Yeah,
All right.
Can you share with us?
Yeah, I have no problem sharing it. I'll share it. Anything else? Atul, Mukta, anything?
No,
Should we
that's okay.
call it a day or a night, as the case may be?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see you in 2
Okay.
weeks then, okay?
Hello.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.